you could argue, Taylor Swift and Dasher, Austin, very much country songs. Miley Cyrus is in the chart as well. Taylor Swift's got 2 more in the top 20. Country's back with a vengeance. But for some people, it never went away. Lisa Travers is a country singer from Sandbach. Lisa, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. Thanks for coming on to talk about this. How long have you been performing country music then?
So for me, it's been a few years now. My dad's always played country music when I was growing up. So for me, it's just been part of my roots, and it's been in me since I was a little girl. But in terms of actually performing and writing my own music, I was actually really lucky. I wrote my first song during lockdown and released it, and it got to #1 in the iTunes country UK music charts. So that was kind of the start of my journey in this small UK country world, which is now growing, which is great.
What do you write about? You know, living in Sandbach, the views across the Cheshire Plain?
So yeah, at the time I was living in Sandbach, and then when after lockdown, I think like everybody else, it gave you time to reflect. So I decided to move into a small little flat in Manchester and just try and, you know, go for this music thing, because I think there's a bit more opportunity in Manchester than in Sandbach. But at the time of that release, I actually just separated with my fiance. We were still living in the same house during the whole of lockdown. We couldn't, you know, sell the house because of lockdown. So we stayed together a year longer than we would have done if it hadn't been for that situation. And that was the inspiration behind my first single. And it was called A Year Too Long. So I don't know if maybe that struck a chord with people or what, but yeah, it was my first song that I ever wrote and released.
and it is very much down the path. I mean, the haters, to use a Taylor Swift phrase, might say that country music is all about you've fallen out with a loved one, or your dog's died, and that's or you're struggling to get from one side of the country to the other, and yet there's far more to it than that, isn't there?
There is, yeah. And like you say, that first song that I wrote does sort of fall into that category. But I think there's a lot more to country music than just writing about heartbreak. But one of the things that I feel remains in all songs, like you just said, even songs that you look at and you think, okay, they could be a little bit country. And usually part of the reason for that could be is the storytelling aspect. And that's what, for me, is so special about country. I love pop, I love R&B, I love all genres, but for me, with country music, you've always got that story, whether it's about heartbreak or it's about something, you know, 9 to 5, working your 9 to 5, whatever it's about, there's that story element, and it's special, I think. So, yeah.
How different is British country to American country? You know, in your dreams, could you perform at the Grand Ole Opry, for example, performing your songs that you've written in Cheshire and Manchester?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? We have still got a long way to go. You know, people maybe don't realise there is a UK country scene over here. It's small, but there is one. Like this weekend, for example, I'm performing at a country music festival in Stockport called Buckle and Boots. That's been going for a good few years now, and you'd be surprised. You know, it's gets a lot of traction, a lot of UK fans. So we are building, especially now with all of the momentum. But yeah, you're right. America is still the home of country music, and it is slightly different. I had a girl from Nashville who came over and stayed with me a few weeks ago, and we put on a few shows together, and literally the numbers were doubled because she was a Nashville artist. So I think even in the UK, it's very clear that the Nashville artist is sort of, I guess, the true home of country music. But that doesn't mean we can't enjoy it and do our own version of it over here. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. Does it annoy you that some of these big stars who've made their names in different genres are now doing country because it seems to be cool?
No, it actually helps me, to be honest. Like, for example, last year, before Beyonce released her album, obviously she's been working on it for 5 years in true Beyonce style. She's one of my absolute idols, whether she does country or not. But last year, before I knew country was going to take off, I got some advice from one of the big record labels saying, drop country, just leave it. I'm not signing you. And if you're doing country, it's not going anywhere in the UK. And that annoyed me a bit, not because I wanted to prove them wrong or anything, but just because I thought, you don't know that, you don't know what could happen. So after that, I actually wrote very, very on the nose. I wrote a song called This Country Song, all about how much I love country music, how it lifts people if it's done in the right way, and all the beautiful music elements. And it's coming out next month. And I'm grateful that country music has now taken off, because that song coming out last year, This Country Song, it probably wouldn't have really done anything. But maybe now that next month, with the popularity of country music, that release might actually be more well received. So I think it's a really good thing for us little UK artists.
Fantastic. And do you like the Beyonce album?
I do. I love Beyonce. I can see why some, traditional country fans maybe don't think it's real country, but there's always that debate. What is real country?
They say that about Glenn Campbell, don't they? He's too poppy for some country fans.
Exactly. I mean, people just need to be more accepting, I think. And I think that she's an absolutely amazing artist in every way. And some of the songs are extremely country. So yeah, I love it. I think it's great.
Well, good luck with this country song. And thanks very much for coming on to talk to us this morning about the growth in country. For some people, it never went. I would have in my top